Today marks 1641st day of day lessons, day reflections. And today I'm outside. It might be quite loud, and I'm in the park. And to the right, there is a competition, young children competition. I don't know exactly what competition, but sometimes it's quite loud. People are cheering people, and I think that's a beautiful thing. Um, and today I was thinking about what lesson I'd love to share, and I was thinking about competition, and I was thinking about competing with yourself. And at that moment, I thought about one word, and one word that specifically stood out for me is friction. Friction. It is impossible to achieve greatness without friction. I think sometimes we avoid friction, and I wrote out seven things that you need to understand and truths about friction, because people who seek friction in the right way were able to really achieve significance. Without friction, with comfort, it's very hard to really move to things that you're never able to achieve. Because one thing is that friction is the place where you actually stretch yourself, grow yourself, improve yourself, transform yourself, evolve yourself, and that's why we need to really look for friction. So today I'll share seven things that I think that extremely important to understand about friction. So number one is that friction threatens your identity, not your ability. Such an interesting thing. Friction threatens your identity, not your ability. What it means is that let's say I'm smart, but now when you pursue something that is potentially question your smartness, or when you say that I'm capable of something, but now you do something outside of your comfort zone and you might fail, make a mistake. Now maybe you will start to really question your identity. But it's not about place of being, because when we really pursue something, we need to say, okay, I'm not capable of that yet. I'm great at I'm smart. That's why I'm developing. That's why I'm growing. That's why I'm improving. That's why I'm building more wisdom and knowledge. And as again, when there is friction, we need to question our abilities, not our identity. Number two, you are addicted to emotional predictability. Emotional predictability, and again, this is uncertainty is is one of the worst things for most time for people. So like, I don't know what will happen, so I will go back to the comfort. And I think that's again, friction is uncertainty, because friction creates things that you never thought about, and uncertainty is probably one of the things that really stops people from achieving things, because people want to have control of their growth, but you're not able to have control of it. That's why there are so many mistakes. So the person who's making most mistakes improves the most. But mistakes are coming from friction. And that's why again, you're supposed to seek friction, seek mistakes, seek understanding through those. But again, there will be a lot of unpredictability because of that. And that's the beautiful thing. Because becoming familiar with the feeling of friction. Because sometimes when there's something unfamiliar, we walk away from it. But I think that the most beautiful things is when we start familiar with the feeling of friction. Number three is your brain interprets effort as a loss. What it means is that a lot of times what the friction is that you put so much effort, but not always you get results immediately. It might be that you put so much effort, you fail. And now your brain says like, I put so much effort, but I didn't get anything in return. That's why like when you look into like scrolling YouTube, you get dopamine immediately. There's no friction. You just scroll it and you get dopamine immediately. And again, this is one of the most important things. We need to really teach our brain, saying that it's okay, it's normal, and it's necessary to put effort and sometimes not get results. Because if you wait for results every single time when you do a job, and again, if you want to be a business owner, that's impossible to have this kind of mindset. But you do something and you get rewarded. You do something and you get rewarded. That's like kind of job. You do the work for a month, you get paid. You do the work for a month, you get paid. In a business app, sometimes it could not be that way. It could be that you work for 6 months, you don't get any payment. So we need to have that mindset of friction that is okay. Number four, you confuse intensity with progress. Intensity with progress. And it's interesting because the most important thing about life is that things that sometimes doesn't bring any emotion whatsoever sometimes are the most important things in our life. The boring things, the things that because sometimes we look for intensity in our emotions. Oh, I feel motivated, I feel excited, I feel I feel called to do that because I have so much emotions doing those kind of things. And sometimes we don't need that. Sometimes we need just boring things, doing over and over again, over and over, and master one thing. Because, and Leah said, like, I'm afraid of a person who trained one kick 10,000 times, not 10,000 kicks once. And I think that's exactly what it says. That in friction, that's not intensity, it's progress. Progress is doing over and over again. And that is because friction is a lot and subtle. Friction is subtle because sometimes you just need to do something that is extremely boring, and that boring is sometimes friction, the subtle friction. Number five, you negotiate with yourself more than you realize. You negotiate with yourself more than you realize. That means when you have a friction, that friction makes you start to negotiate with yourself. Oh, I'll start tomorrow, or just once. And again, every single time when you start to see that our we negotiate with ourselves, maybe so like okay, like this, there's a friction. Rather than negotiate with yourself, make commitment to yourself, make a calling for yourself, make an understanding that friction is the place where I start to negotiate. Because if there's no friction, we'll not negotiate with ourselves. If it's too comfortable, we're not negotiate with ourselves. And when we start negotiate, we start losing authority with ourselves sooner or later. It's extremely important to really not allow to negotiate with ourselves because every single time when you lose a negotiation and allow the friction to win, or lose self-trust, self-confidence, that is not a great place to be in. Number six is you want results without becoming the person who earns them. You want results without becoming the person who earn them. It's interesting. Sometimes you want results by being the same. Because if you keep doing the same things that you're comfortable with, but you want different results, that's impossible. Just as almost I just said, like keep doing the same things and expecting different results, that is insanity. And that's when we ask ourselves, what kind of things would allow me to become different kind of version of me, that different kind of version of me would allow me to get the different results. And I really love the saying that that if you want to have what you never had, you need to do what you never did. And if you want to do what you never did, you need to become the person that you never been. And again, that's a beautiful, beautiful things. And we need to really have developed that confidence through exposure, through restriction, to sustain effort. That's a beautiful thing. The last one, number seven, is you don't lack time or ability, you lack friction tolerance. This is just mic drop when I think about the importance of friction is that you don't lack time or ability, like you lack friction tolerance. What it means is that when you're pursuing big things in life, we need to tolerate friction. What it means that we need to tolerate long hours of boring work. We need to tolerate going and exposing ourselves, being not afraid of embarrassment, rejection, doing things that scares the hell out of you. And again, this is a tolerance, how much you're able to tolerate of discomfort. And this is I think that's the most important thing that really separates very successful people and unsuccessful people. How much they're able to handle and tolerate the friction in their life. Again, when you think about tolerance, that means that it's a beautiful thing. You know that there's toleration of friction. It's like, where am I? How well tolerates friction from 1 to 10? If I'm 2, 3, now that groundedness, knowing that okay, like let's improve our toleration of friction, so I could do bigger things. Because when every single time when we increase a little bit that friction, our and external results will improve as well. And I think that's the last thing that I want to mention is that it's not how I avoid this feeling of friction. The question is, can I stay a little bit longer in this feeling than last time? How can I stay longer in this feeling of friction? And I think that's a beautiful thing. And we need to really learn how to tolerate more and more without drama, without without house, just being able to stay in that friction a little bit longer this time. So I hope you just win and see you tomorrow.